The lesson.
Oh, yeah.
Man, Ras Kass
Yeah. What's going on?
in Australia all the way from California, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It's been, you've been trying to make this happen for a minute now, haven't you?
Yeah, man. Fourth time's a charm.
So, like, we were talking about it a bit before, like, in total, I think the first time you tried to come out was 98.
I believe it was either 98, 99.
And
I
now
supposed
we're
to
in
come out.
2018.
It's fucking sad, right? 20 years in the making.
We finally made it happen,
It's
though,
fucking
man.
insane.
It's good to have you down, man.
I'm happy to be here.
And I guess, yeah, look, in terms of, trying to come down, I mean, we've discussed it, but for the people watching, the reasons behind.
I would just happen to go to jail the day before. So I'd be booked, have itinerary, and get into my LA living with my stupid friends who obviously didn't care about what I had to do the next day. And obviously I didn't either. I was immature. So somehow with just bad luck, I would get arrested. So I'd miss the flight one way or another. And that's happened 3 times.
And then so on your way,
I just sat in the house the past, prior to getting here, I just sat at home for 2 days, 48 hours. Made sure there was nothing that could go wrong that could put me in jail. So I broke the curse.
Well, it's good to finally get you down here.
So happy to be here, man. Happy to be specifically in Adelaide, you know what I'm saying? And, to have you guys bring me out. Just really, really appreciate it. Enjoying the culture, the hip hop culture, the culture in general. Nice to be in Australia for the first time. Adelaide specifically is still some things I want to see here.
The kangaroos and the...
you know what? I'm kind of over it now. Like, I hate to say it. Like, everybody's making me feel like stupid tourist. So now I just kind of get some wine, maybe jet ski, go fishing, keep it simple. But I did, thanks to alerts, as you know, Benny, I've eaten my kangaroo steak, so I'm good. So I've gotten it out my system. All the stupid tourist American stuff is out the way. So now it's
down to business.
Regular human stuff. I'd like to see some sights and see some community and all that. But I'm done with the kangaroos, and yeah, I'm done. I got it out my system.
Now, I guess the first official release that you had was Soul on Ice.
Yeah.
And that was 96. So we're talking, 20 plus years ago now.
Yeah.
But I mean, obviously you would have been, like writing rhymes and recording and doing that shit before that album. So I guess, first of all, you're from LA.
Yeah, born and raised. First gen.
Now, which part of LA?
SoCal. SoCal, Los Angeles. Always qualify myself as a C. Arson and Watts. Watts is obviously the Watts riots. Kind of considered, the grimiest part of Los Angeles is Watts, East Side. And then I grew up in Watts, but I always lived in Carson. So I always mention both because they're both very fundamental in forming me. My parents, we lived in a suburb. Carson is a suburb right next to Compton. It's a middle-class neighborhood for the most part. But my parents worked. They had to drop us off at my grandmother's in Watts so that they could go to work. We went to school. I socialized in Watts until I went to school there until middle of 7th grade. So yeah, me growing up and who I considered friends and who I played with, that was all Watts up until 8th grade.
And then so I guess like when a lot of us, I guess over here in Australia, we hear about, West Coast music, West Coast rap culture. A significant thing that often pops into mind is like the gang culture. And I guess, Watts is a neighborhood that I think in Menace to Society, like
So I think,
there's some references to Watts possibly, but So when you know, when you're looking at like growing up, I imagine that's sort of like the 70s, 80s
Yeah,
sort of
exactly.
period.
Yeah.
And that's also where the crack epidemic came in, like around 83, 84.
Yeah, maybe even earlier.
So then from that period, I mean, in terms of like, you know, the crack coming in and the gang related stuff, I mean, what do you
Well, the
remember?
80s for me is when I'm really like becoming aware of anything.
Mm.
Um, I mean, to be perfectly honest, you can't see the forest for the trees. I couldn't. Um, you don't see it that way. I didn't see it that way, at least. I we rode our bikes. We went to the park, the neighborhood park. Summer, there was a summer program at the school where you could play basketball or you could play a game called caroms, which is kind of like billiards without balls. Uh, they had, they gave a lunch, and there was like a lunch. It was a summer program, and everybody from the community was there every day. That was kind of what you did every day. We knew not to ride our bikes over the other place because they tended to want to take our bikes. You just kind of knew what you knew. It was almost like the boys in the hood. Like, you want to see a dead body? It's like you saw crazy stuff, but I didn't process it that way. There was no fear. It was just like they trip over there. We don't never really go that far. We don't really go this far. We used to ride our bikes from Watts to Carson, which is probably 15 miles one way and then 15 miles back.
Mm.
So we were out doing what we were doing. We just knew a route to get us out of danger. And the danger was literally could be 5 blocks just over. But we didn't see it that way. I didn't. We didn't even see race. I mean, at least I didn't. There wasn't, in Watts in 80 something, even if I would say like 84 or something, 85, there wasn't a big Mexican population. It was more black at that particular time. It was a small white population. I happen to be Catholic because of my grandmother. I went to Catholic school. You just dealt with who you dealt with, and it wasn't a big deal. And you fought who you had to fight. And I knew we said cuz, but I don't know. You just didn't pick up, and it wasn't like, I don't know. I just feel like the way a lot of rappers have tried to make LA is not what I experienced. And I grew up in a really bad part. Of course, shit was actively happening. People were gangbanging. My friends, there's a dude named Spider Loke that was signed to G Unit. I knew his brother. That's who I went to school with. So the thing about gangs is usually you take on the name of your big homie or your big brother.
Mm.
So the Spider Loke from G Unit is not, he's like baby Spider. There's a little Spider, there's a big Spider, there's a double OG Spider. You understand what I'm saying? So I know Martell. I went to school with Martell. So I knew Spider when we was just Martell and John, and we had a homie named Bert, and then they made me mad, and I jumped both of them in 2nd grade. So we know each other from that. Like, and then I remember people kind of stepping in. I remember, the neighborhood suggesting. They never forced us to do nothing. It was like, you should see from the hood. I'm like, how much you pay? And it was like, you stupid. It was like, nobody asks what the hourly wage to join a gang is. You're dumb. We like you. You're so funny. You just be a bad kid and do whatever you're doing. So, for me, that's the experience I had. I remember there was the basketball player, and I've always said this, man. It's like when I first came out, they tried to make me some anomaly, and I would try to explain to these magazines, I'm not that different on any street radius, there's so many different kinds of people. There's the basketball player. There's the dude that's really funny. He's a comedian. There's the dude that gets the girls. There's a gay dude. There's a thief. There's a smoker. Somebody that's got bad drug habits. Like, that's all the different personalities you're gonna just get on a block. So what do you think a whole neighborhood is? I wasn't that unique. I liked the things I like to do, and I was allowed to do the things I like to do. Whereas, there was a dude named Stacy. He was the basketball dude. He always had all the Jordans. He was tall. He was lanky. He was the basketball dude. It was dudes that was raising pit bulls. That was their thing. But we were all in a neighborhood together, and we socialized together. Spider and them. Yeah, even the home, Vincent and them, just another neighbor, they ended up joining gangs, but nobody was like forced. It was kind of more like, if you was trying to get money, it makes sense now what the homies that was selling weed were doing. Probably if you was trying to sell weed, you can't really sell weed in a neighborhood that already has people selling weed unless you join that system. So it wasn't about you getting forced to do something. It was about what you wanted out of the system. I just wanted to break dance, get the girl that I liked, run fast, jump high, shit all little boys want to do. I want to throw the rock the furthest, shit like that. And so that was my journey. And I was never forced into nothing. And I mean, for me, hip hop was introduced to me in Watts. The music, the pop locking, breaking. I learned all that. I didn't even pay attention to that shit. I was too busy having fun being a boy, being an alpha male boy who could throw the rock the furthest, who could jump off the highest shit and land right, playing Spider-Man. I mean, shit like that. And I was and by no means the best, but I was by no means the weakest, but I was pretty good out of my age bracket, So when you're the 10-year-old kid and you're still looking at the 15-year-olds and the 17-year-olds and 18-year-olds, like, we used to flip in our neighborhood. Like, everybody could walk on their hands. Everybody could flip. They used to flip off 1- and 2-story houses and do fucking perfect pikes and land. There was no room for mistakes. Like, everybody in the neighborhood was just kind of very gymnastically based. That was just something we did. So, believe it or not, that shit came in really handy later in life when it's time to start fighting, because you already got cardio on upper body strength. So we was fucking niggas up. We was beating niggas up without knowing what we were doing. We just wanted to be Spider-Man and Superman and shit like that. But all that shit was training us to be warriors. I mean, bullshit you not. It's, it's really funny to look at it. That's why I said, like, my homeboy, my homeboy that would go on to be gang member, Spider Loke, and who I know his little brother, like, we didn't see it like, at the time we didn't see it that way. We were just being kids going on a journey and not knowing what every day would be. And didn't realize even the impact, like, oh, we in a Crip neighborhood, we in one of the worst neighborhoods. Like, our neighborhood is essentially 9-7 East Coast Crip, Grape Street Watts, or Front Street Watts. Those are the gangs within the block radius where I lived at. And then everything else would be like where J-Rock and them from, like Bloods or whatever. But we were socialized around the Crips. And then if you went too far out of bounds, they used to fuck with people and take bikes over there. So we didn't like them anyway. But that was where where J-Rock and them from. I didn't process it, and I know a lot of my friends didn't until we looked up. We didn't even really get race I didn't get race. Well, especially not with Mexicans, because I grew up Catholic, and there's not going to be a lot of poor white. It's not a lot of whites. It's not going to be a lot of Irish fucking people in the middle of fucking Los Angeles in the ghetto in 1980 something. There were a few, but it's not a lot. They were not the majority of who would be Catholic. There was going to be Mexicans, and then there was going to be a small amount of Louisiana Creoles who happen to have the same culture, but they were French-speaking people. So it was just, Father Peter would be Irish, but most of the people that were in the parish are gonna, they got raped and taught this shit from a different from a different land, honestly. And yeah, man, just overall, that my LA journey, which affects my lyricism, is that I was just me. Baby John is what they call me, and what I talk about is who I was in LA. I can't talk about being the hood made me do the hood that made me do shit. I did exactly what I wanted to do. I literally, through hip hop, I decided one year I decided I was gonna buy like the like Joker pants, like high water capri pants with pinstripes and fucking suspenders,
yeah.
and decided that was a good idea to go to Watts and wear. Hilarious. I had a yellow pair. We never wore red, but I decided to buy the red ones. But I bought the yellow ones first. I bought a purple pair, and then the red ones, and went back to like it was summer, and then I went back the next year. I might have been in like the 6th or 7th grade. Went and they was like, "What are you wearing?" And I was like, "I don't know, but I like it." And it was like, "Why are you wearing that?" And I was like, "I don't give a fuck. The girls like it." And that was really LA always taught us that. Like the alpha male shit was, "I don't give a fuck if the bitches like it." I still say that shit. Like I don't care. Who the fuck are you to tell me what to do? If the bitches like it, who cares what you think? You're a dude with a dick. I don't care what no dick think. For real.
Yeah,
At the end of the day, you're a dick. I don't need to impress you, dick person. I like to impress things with vaginas. So I remember saying that and being that kid and all the older homies just laughing like, "You're ridiculous. You're funny, but good answer. Fuck it. Carry on." So that's what I remember about the ghetto. What I remember about Watts is they loved individuality. They definitely allowed me to grow and be the boy that I was, and that's why my music is so about me being me, not,
the stereotypical.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because I didn't have a stereotypical journey.
And then although, you've gone on and done the rap thing, did the people around you, did many of them go off and do the gang thing, or did anyone sort of like...
A lot of my homies did. And then who I would end up pulling into my life as my friends, we met through the music, but they had made certain choices. My friend Dags, and I talk about him on my first album, on Anything Goes. I say, Dis Most and Lil Dags, hold tight. I know I seldom shoot kites, but I be trying to get my pockets right. Those are my friends. Dismo is in the Solo Nights video. He's my bunkie. He had just got out. He was huffed up or whatever. But my homie Dags, but we were from different neighborhoods. We clicked up because we all started b-boying and dancing. So kids from Inglewood were meeting kids from Compton, who were meeting kids from the Valley, who were meeting kids from Carson, who were meeting kids from Long Beach, and we became these super cliques. And we used to literally little LA super cliques on some hip hop shit from different neighborhoods that started clicking and becoming teams, introducing gangs that we would never have met because gangs wouldn't have allowed that shit. It was the music that brought us together. And then of course, when you're 14 and 15 and 16 and this magical thing called, hip hop, period, that whole culture is taking a hold. But, maybe when you're 18, you're like, fuck, I got to make some money. I'm graduating high school, or I didn't graduate high school. My mom was fucking, So then people started reverting back to what they, if the gangbanging was getting you money, some of my friends reverted back. So, for me, I got a pretty clear path. Not everybody got one. Like, I was a break dancer that was already making money from dancing. I was getting checks. I did a fucking Pepe Jeans commercial. I was a kid. I did a Pepe Jeans commercial. I was getting fucking residual checks. I'm fucking 15. I'm getting fucking $7,000 checks every month off this hip hop shit. My path is already being set. I was blessed. I don't even want to fucking b-boy no more. I want to rap. Homies in the neighborhood just like, we don't really understand what you're talking about, but because you're using these big fucking words, but you use these big words anyway in the day-to-day conversation. This is how you talk. I didn't know I was overly articulate. I didn't fucking Me, I'm my mother's kid, and fuck it. I like saying what the fuck, how I talk. How I talk is how I talk. It's my expression. But in some rap shit for a long time, it was still a hard sell. I'm not the most fucking go-to guy that people fucking support. They support monosyllable moronic rap. I'm not. My shit is way more complicated than that. But anyway, long story short, there were certain homies that still supported me and said, you know what, I love who you are. I love what you're trying to do. You know, my homie Wino from, you know what I'm saying? Like, he produced all the Coolio shit, but I was a little kid fucking up, getting in trouble, going to jail. But I want to rap, and he like, you super talented. And you keep doing what you're doing, and I ain't got no money for that. He producing me. You know what I mean? Like, and people in the neighborhood mad. Like, why do you let him and Battle Cat doing the same thing? Like, why do you... He ain't paying you, and you let the little dude that ain't from the neighborhood come over here and rap. He like, cause he dope. So I've just been blessed, man. Like, they opened doors. I was thinking about that while I've been out here, man. Like, it's just crazy to have had, you know, if it wasn't for the hood, for me, great man, you know, specifically, you know, Wino, specifically Battle Cat, even, you know, later in the journey, you know, Sway and Tech from the Wake Up Show. I was just a kid, man, with a kid a kid that didn't have a big plan, really, man. I was winging this shit. I've been winging it from day one. And you know, I did want to express myself, and I got the ability to be able to express myself. And peaks and valleys, I still, you know, I've been able to follow my heart, follow my passion. I may not be the most fucking famous, but behind closed doors, and I know in my heart of hearts, I'll fuck most of your favorite rappers up. They can't beat me rapping.
The lesson.